Tell me this mullet doesn't just drive you fucking crazy.
I love high gas prices. I love paying more for groceries, and I really love seeing taxes rise. It's so good knowing that I'm giving more but receiving less. It makes me feel humble, but I'm gonna stop with the sarcasm right there, cause I swear we're living in a real jungle. It's what? Pretty simple to me though, it's way past being left or right. Just use your head and common sense and think about how you've been affected in daily life. Is it easier or is it harder? That's the most important question you should think of first, cause life is a bitch already as it is, and you don't need someone that's gonna make it worse. Ask me? I think we're fucked. Don't give me that look, everything sucks. Have you gone outside? Have you been to the store? Have you compared the prices to a year before? Do you drive a car? Have you pumped gas? Don't lie to me now, it sucks ass. You can brush it off like it's a fucking joke, but the media lies.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually have not pumped gas in the last year. I've not pumped gas in the last 3 years? Sorry.
Numbers don't. Well, you can't blame Biden, it isn't him. Well, who the fuck is it then? What jacked up the prices? I want to know why I spend so much up at Conoco.
Hey. You wanted the 80s aesthetic back. You wanted the cyberpunk, or the new wave look and everything. Well, you got to get the mullet with it as well. All the 80s got to come with it. You got to take the good, the bad, and the mullety.
It's insane that the leader of the country gets no blame, because the whole entire time, the last 4 years, it was cheap as fuck. I'm just saying, now watch. Down in the comment section, someone's gonna give us an economy lesson. I can't wait to hear your expert analysis on fluctuation and how expenses balance. Hey, it's all a part of the process. What the hell you bitching for? It's fine. Oh yeah, I forgot about the 16 cents that I saved on hot dogs for 4th of July. What a fucking steal. Too bad I spent more on gas just to get to Target. So by the time I got done buying all the shit and filling up my car, I had way less than when I started. Now, I don't really call that saving. No, I call that losing money. It doesn't take a genius to do simple math, but apparently you can't, so who's the dummy? Probably still me. I'm just pissed off.
Is his name Samson?
But I gotta sit here and act like I love this administration with a thumbs up? Stupid. Everything is...
No, you don't. But you should be, if you want to have a fucking opinion, you should be educated and know what you're talking about.
Every time the man speaks, I have no fucking clue what he's trying to tell us. Every speech is like a gag reel. Every time I see the shit, I'm like, is that real? Well, considering the fact that the only other option was Trump, I don't think it's such a bad deal. Fuck that. I want a strong leader. The strength of a man should be constantly tested, especially when you're in the most powerful position in the world. That should be not even a question. There's really not enough words that can describe the craziness we're facing, dude. But the crazier part is there's still people you need to sit down and...
All right, do you think he's talented? I mean, he's not bad. He ain't blowing me away.
He has a list of people he's supposed to call on, and even then
well, he made the joke like the Biden administration put out like you saved like 16 cents on your 4th of July picnic or something.
Like we don't even have a leader. It's like we're all just following blindly. Each of my grandparents could run circles around him in a debate, and they're almost 90. Look at him. Don't take it from me. Go listen to him. It's not a rumor.
You gotta. I mean,
Today, Junior! Jesus Christ, go on YouTube and click any video of Joe Biden and check out the like and the dislike ratios. That should prove to you that no one likes him. I don't agree with anything he's done. His decisions affect...
Go look at the YouTube ratio. That doesn't mean that you're right. Also, like, YouTube isn't like the world. Maybe it's Samso. I thought it was Samson, but it looked like it was Samso. The real Samso. The real mullet. This is an opinion piece by Thomas Zimmer. He is a professor of... He's a historian and visiting professor at Georgetown University, where he focuses on the history of democracy and its discontents in the United States. The real and far scarier reason Republicans think Biden is illegitimate. The real reason those two ladies were behind their desk saying, "Let's go, Brandon." The real reason Mullet Guy was doing his little rap about the 4th of July. Night, Mandy. A fantastic evening, my dear. Many conservatives don't think the 2020 election was stolen, but they believe democracy itself has betrayed America by allowing the wrong people to take charge. Earlier this month, Team Trump claimed in court that their efforts to nullify Joe Biden's victory could not possibly have been fraudulent or be described as a criminal conspiracy because those in and around the White House had merely been acting on the basis of sincerely held suspicions. This sparked the latest round in the never-ending debate over whether or not Republicans actually believe that the election was stolen from them. Politically, it is important to push back against the opportunistic ways in which Republicans up and down the country have been using the big lie. But if we are trying to understand what is animating the right's rapidly accelerating radicalization against democracy, binary assumptions of Republicans as either true believers or power-hungry cynics are not very helpful and actually obscure more than they illuminate. In some fundamental way, Republicans are both. What we really need to grapple with is why so many Republicans are convinced the outcome of the election was illegitimate, regardless of whether or not there were specific procedural irregularities. Much more nefarious than a tantrum, Sky Comet. Surveys have consistently indicated that a clear majority, probably about 2/3 of Republicans, consider Biden an illegitimate president. It's highly likely that many of them are well aware that some of the specific conspiratorial claims emanating from the right, fake ballots, lost ballots, illegal voting, are bogus. But they don't seem to care about the specifics. They just believe Biden shouldn't be president. You will hear the common refrain among them is, I can't believe a man who campaigned from his basement and couldn't draw a crowd got more votes than anyone in the history of the country. Seems logical. It's not. But they don't seem to care about the specifics. They just believe Biden shouldn't be president. What is most alarming is the underlying ideology that leads so many on the right to consider Democratic victories invalid, even if they concede there was nothing technically wrong with how the election was conducted. It has become a core tenet of the Republican worldview to consider the Democratic Party as not simply a political opponent, but an enemy, pursuing an un-American project of turning what is supposed to be a white, Christian, patriarchal nation into a land of godless, multiracial pluralism. Conversely, Republicans see themselves as the sole proponents of real America, defending the country from the forces of radical leftism, liberalism, and wokeism. If they don't subscribe to the more outlandish conspiracies propagated by Trumpists, many Republicans agree that the Democratic Party is a fundamentally illegitimate political faction, and that any election outcome that would lead to Democratic governance must be rejected as illegitimate as well. Republicans didn't start from an assessment of how the 2020 election went down and come away from that exercise with sincerely held doubts. Rationalization worked backwards. They looked at the outcome and decided it must not stand. In other words, accusations of fraud gain plausibility among conservatives not because of empirical evidence, but because they adhere to the higher truth of who is and who is not legitimately representing and therefore entitled to rule real America. It's worth paying attention to how reactionary intellectuals have been dealing with the 2020 election. We certainly wouldn't expect Trump, most Republican officials, or the conservative base to devour right-wing treatises. As much as they would like to believe it, these reactionary thinkers are not leading the movement. They tend to articulate the radicalizing authoritarian spirit that is threatening American democracy in strikingly stark terms. In this way, the right-wing intellectual sphere provides a crucial window into the energies and anxieties that are animating the right more broadly. So, in the magazine American Mind, published an instructive essay by Glenn Elmers entitled "Conservatism is No Longer Enough." American Mind is a publication of the Claremont Institute, a right-wing think tank in California that has become home to some of the most outrightly pro-Trumpian intellectuals. That seems like an oxymoron. Yes, intellectuals. It is notable that Elmers makes no claim that the 2020 election was stolen. He doesn't allege manipulation, voter fraud, or conspiracy, and in fact explicitly acknowledges that more people voted for Biden than for Trump. He does not peddle conspiracy theories, yet Elmers maintains that the outcome of the 2020 election is illegitimate and must not be accepted. According to Elmers, Biden's presidency represents an un-American idea of multiracial pluralism, something that is fundamentally in conflict with what he refers to as authentic America. In his view, everyone who voted for Joe Biden and his progressive project of narcoticizing the American people and turning us into a nation of slaves is also un-American. I just can't get over that sentence. I've got to save that for later. It's going to be like the title of the podcast. Joe Biden and his progressive project of narcoticizing the American people and turning us into a nation of slaves. And is therefore not worthy of inclusion in the body politic. Elmers declares that most people living in the United States, certainly more than half, are not Americans in any meaningful sense of the term. Only authentic Americans are allowed in Glenn Elmer's United States, a radicalized idea of the people, most clearly represented by the vast numbers of Heartland voters. The other side are un-American enemies, not coincidentally characterized by their blind admiration for a young black artist. If you are a zombie or a human rodent who wants a shadow life of timid conformity, then put away this essay and go memorize the poetry of Amanda Gorman. What? Amanda Gorman was the poet laureate that read a poem at the inauguration. She's like fucking, is she 20? Is she 21? Like, she was young. Attacking Amanda Gorman. Hell, I thank you for reminding me of that amazing young lady from when we watched the inauguration. But like, how are you attacking her? I mean, this could have been written not long after the inauguration. Youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history. Okay, she's like 24. How dare you attack that young lady? Elmer's racist, anti-pluralistic vision is remarkably radical. He wants to redraw the boundaries of citizenship and exclude over half the population. Elmers is outraged precisely because he accepts the fact that a majority voted for Biden, that authentic Americans have become the minority in a country which they are supposedly entitled to dominate. Here we have a striking glimpse at the depth of despair underlying the pervasive siege mentality on the right. What's scandalous about the 2020 election in this interpretation is not that it was stolen, but that un-American forces straightforwardly won. Reactionaries like Elmers have internalized the idea that they represent a persecuted minority, fighting with their backs against the wall in a desperate effort to defend authentic America. They dispute the legitimacy of the 2020 election not necessarily on the basis of fraud and conspiracy, but because democracy itself subverted the will of real America by allowing the wrong people too much of an influence on the fate of the country. They absolutely have no reason to be. And here's the weird thing, is so often they come at me and they'll be like, you own all the media, you have all of your viewpoints are represented in academia and government and everything. I'm like, my viewpoint is not represented at all. What are you talking about? I am not a fucking neoliberal. The left runs everything. No, motherfucker. If you think the head of a corporation is a leftist, you're a fucking... And that's the problem. Is so they perceive, you know, like Pixar is getting a lot of praise, and rightfully so, I guess, because like I've seen a lot of people that I trust their opinions say that what Turning Red or whatever the new movie is really fucking good, and then like the Encanado or whatever was really fucking good, and so Disney's getting a lot of praise for having like. There's not these real villains in their movies anymore, like just the torments of you know, puberty and shit are the villains in the movies. That's a good thing for representation and shit. And they perceive that marketing, which is just capitalism being capitalism, because most of the population is like center left, especially when it comes to social issues. Most of the country would be on the slightly left side when it comes to social issues. You know, like the fucking the Trumpians are like 32%, 33%. So Disney's just doing what they do in marketing to the masses. But Disney, the company itself, is not woke. That's stupid. They are ruthless when it comes to copyright law and property law. Fucking and when it comes to monopolization. Come the fuck on. Get real, people. Like, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of the reporters and everyday people, the production people that work in media, yes, we tend to be liberal. Or left of center. Or leftists like myself. But like every boss I ever had in the media was a Republican. So saying that the left runs the media is just insane. It's insane. Oh no, but they will tell you that the left is always pissed off. It's a bunch of blue-haired, pink-haired people that are triggered constantly. They will get into my DMs to yell at me about how triggered I am. I don't even know who the fuck they are. They got fucking triggered by something I said on the internet. It's an insane persecution complex, and some really evil people have taken advantage of it, talking about politicians, people like Josh Hawley, people like Donald Trump. Isn't that what we're going to next here?